Now what we're looking at with these houses, right, is some signs of distress. Like over here, if you toggle to that side, Andy, you can see these yards look pretty well kept, right? The grass is cut, the house doesn't look too beat up, paint looks semi-fresh, right? Nothing that looks too beat up with it. Let's loop her right and get on the main street real quick, and then we'll turn around into the neighborhood. You guys ready to roll? Let's do this, JoJo. It's time. Boom, 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 boom. All right, guys. So we got the Deal Machine app pulled up, and we are heading out from the office right off Hardin Street. Now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna cruise some of these neighborhoods right behind the office, which happens to be in the Waverly district. And me and Aubrey are gonna go by, point out, and look for some houses that look a little bit run down and distressed. We'll ping them, add them to the list, and then show you guys how we can either export them or send out mail pieces from there. Let's ride. So once you hit drive, you can either plan your route and actually draw out and map out the streets that you want to hit so you can follow it along, or you can just do free drive. And what that does is it tracks the area that we're driving so that we don't track behind our steps again, right? Smart system allows us to dive in. Now what we're looking at with these houses, right, is some signs of distress. Like over here, if you toggle to that side, Andy, you can see these yards look pretty well kept, right? The grass is cut, the house doesn't look too beat up, paint looks semi-fresh, right? Nothing that looks too beat up with it. Let's loop her right and get on the main street real quick, and then we'll turn around into the neighborhood. But yeah, it's really is pretty simple, and as you get a little bit of practice and reps in with it, you can start to really pinpoint houses like before you even roll up on them, right? You just have a healthy little 15, 20 mile an hour cruise in the neighborhood, right? So you're not creeping too slow, but you're cruising at a slow enough speed that you can really pay attention and see the houses that you can pinpoint and point out. For those of you that are familiar with Columbia, you guys know exactly where we're at. Right here in the heart of downtown, we got 5 points to our left. Going up right on Hardin, and our office is right here on the corner, literally a block away from the tax office. Boom. There we go. That's home base. That's home base, folks. So we're literally just driving right behind the office in some of the neighborhoods here. This is the side of town. It's an older part of Columbia, but a lot of this side of town is really starting to turn around and revitalize. So it's a unique place inside of the city. Now to our right, we got a house, older block house. Doesn't look too beat up. Looks like a small multifamily. Probably a landlord that makes some decent rent on that. We'll just go ahead and go straight across. So we're on Oak Street right here. To my left, coming up here with the steeple, is this church. Now about 2 years ago, we actually bought a house from this church. Bishop's Memorial Church, man. So we're gonna loop a left on Oak, and that house right there on the corner, the new siding on it, we wholesaled that thing, I wanna say in 2019. So this was a direct mail piece. Right, this was actually a lead that we were driving for dollars with, and I sent a piece of mail, and Bishop called me. She's like, "Hey, we got your mail piece. We got this house that we're looking to turn." And we go 1413. So that house right there, man. So we actually sold it to an out-of-state buyer. The gentleman's kid was at USC, so he was in college here. Look at this, right next to it. So next door to that, boom, guess what? That thing is beat up and distressed. Not sure how much you can see out of the camera, but if you really dial in, some of the soffits are falling apart. You got a posted no trespassing sign. The grass is overgrown. Clearly, there's either someone not living there or it's just not well taken care of, right? So we're gonna point right there. We know that that's 1417. It's an absentee owner. Boom. I just added that to the list, right? And inside of here, you can also see your deal finding team. So if you have different people who are driving for dollars, a great person to bring on this team would be a UPS driver, Amazon driver, Uber, Lyft, people that are already driving in these neighborhoods, and you can actually recruit people to look for these houses. And if they happen to ping one on the list that's tracked through the app, you can pay them $1,000 referral fee, just like that. So we're cruising along. You can see up here, we got another house that looks pretty beat up to my left. Bars over the windows. We're gonna ping that. That thing needs some love. Corporate owned. It's owned by 1500 Heights. So this is clearly an investor. Bought the house and they're holding that in its own LLC because they named the LLC of the same address of the street. A lot of investors will do that for asset protection. But that's two just in a couple street blocks that we picked up. One right next to a house that we wholesaled 2 years ago. On this video, I should pop up the hood with that just to show them we did it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's the only house we've ever bought from a church so far. Actually, that's the only one we've closed so far. We have 14 lots under contract from a church. They're kind of in the middle of nowhere, and some of them are in a flood zone, but we might put them on stilts. So this one stands out because the grass is overgrown, but you can see someone lives there. So it's not super distressed, right? We'll probably leave that one off the list. Let's go right. But you can see, because we are in the heart of downtown, a lot of these houses were a lot older and run down, but investors are starting to come in and pick them up and turn them around. So in the next 5-10 years, see that one looks a little older. It's not super distressed, but you got the window units and stuff. You can just tell that it's not super well kept. You know, the person doesn't have quite as much interest in really keeping that property up to date, right? Because it's summertime and not as many leaves on the road, right? There's some different factors that we're not leaning into. But you really are just looking for, hey, broken windows, the road, the driveway, does it have a clear entrance? Is there any type of movement or activity at all, right? We're always just looking for that little distress point. So that's pretty simple. There's really no need for us to go in a super big loop, but you can see we're tracked on the app and it's traced the streets that we've drove on so far, right? So if we wanted to we know we missed Little Lady Street right here. We know we missed this little pocket of Waverly, right? But we can literally just block it off in street blocks, be very strategic with it, and before you know it, dial in and you can hit and tackle the entire city and beyond, right? So a lot of the big producing teams, they do this at a high level and they recruit other people. And you can see all these little points, all these little pin drops are all leads, all houses that we've actually added to the Deal Machine app before, right? We pinged all these houses in these neighborhoods. So that's the list that we have running internal on the back end. And you can see the leads that it pulls up if you toggle down with the leads thing below. And it's all listed right there, right? Pretty cool stuff. And you can see Jackson, Mississippi in that mix. We actually had a deal finder driving for dollars in the Jackson market for us. But yeah, a lot of cool things you can do with it. You can send mail directly out of it. One of our favorite things to do is we simply download and export the leads from within. We'll send them out to get skip traced with our skip tracing company, and we'll work to get these people on the phones, because having those quality conversations is what truly drives conversions.